Okay, we're going to call this one Operation Hologram. Pretty rare Saab Turbo X. It'll come in this sort of sparkly purple colour. Obviously, this one's been in for some work at some stage. Every single panel is hologrammed, and what isn't badly hologrammed is pretty badly swirled and scratched up. It's not without its issues as well. There are a few areas on it which are going to need even more work. As you can see, there's some picked edges on a couple of the panels. Probably the worst are on the boot. Some pretty deep scuffs and scratches down on one of the passenger doors. We've got a pretty bad blend or some kind of dry spot on the rear bumper which we'll need to address. And I can't tell if we've got a strike through already on the rear bumper, so I'll have to load up the expensive plastic gauge and get some measurements there. But we're not booked in for perfection. I know I always say this, it's not like a stuck record, it's boring, I know. But it's in for a major improvement, not perfection. It's only in for a dual stage. I probably would have liked to get it in for a heavy enhancement. That's not the reality, that's not what we're working with. So the goal here is absolutely maximise the amount of cut we can get from that first stage, but we've got to draw the line because we've got to be able to get anything funky that we leave on that first stage out on the second stage. I'll do a couple of test spots with the rotary. I just think that the holograms that we're going to end up leaving, trying to chop out these other holograms and scratches, I think they're just going to be a bit too aggressive to pull out with a dueling stage next. So we're probably going to be down to the 15, well, I might even break the 3401 out and we'll see with wool on, like a twisted wool maybe. We'll see what we can do with that. It tends to be a bit dusty, but if that's going to yield the best results, then dusting it is, and we'll just go with it and we'll wash the car again if we need to, or O&R it down, whatever. So job one, you've seen the damage. Let's get taped up. I'll probably put some sheeting on some various areas. I know we can blow out the dust with a compressor, but I'll probably try and limit what we collect anyway. We'll get some readings done on the bad areas, and then we'll jump into some machining. I'm going to finish this coffee and then we'll get going. See you shortly. Okay, so we're all taped up now, tight and right, just the way I like it. The way I like to tape up, I'm trying to maximise every little bit of the bodywork that I can get to, but still with convenience. So everything's tucked in around edges and corners. Everything's tucked in, if I can, behind the trim, as long as I know I'm not going to leave any tape behind when I peel it back. I want to be able to get to every little corner of the paint, every little corner of the bodywork, but I don't want my pads to touch the corners of the tape. I haven't sheeted anything because, in fairness, if I do create a lot of dust, I can just blow it off with the compressor. Worst case scenario, like I said, I'll give it an O&R wash. I do it very specifically on cars like this. I haven't taped up the lights because I want to polish the lights. I haven't taped up right down the doors because I'm going to need to open the doors to be able to polish edges properly and compound edges safely. So at this point, I think we're just about right to get going. I'll start some test combinations. I think I'm going to start with the 3401 with a nice wool pad, heavy compound. We'll see how we get on. Fingers crossed with the 8mm throw of the 3401, the flex. We should be able to minimise those holograms, but still get the cut. If not, we'll try the 15mm machine, and again, if not, then we're just going to have to go to the rotary, and then we'll figure that out later on. So let's get cracking. Okay, half the bonnet done, very obvious. This half is untouched, well, by us anyway. This half has been compounded. A couple of things to note, gone with the 15mm, the wool on the 34mm was just a little bit scratchy. This paint is definitely, I wouldn't call it soft, but I would call it sensitive. So you should notice, I don't know if it'll come out on the video, but I can certainly see it on the phone, kind of stripy. So not holograms, these are very obviously rotary induced, but just a little bit stripy and opaque. So I already know that means I'm going to have to go with a primer polish. Sensitive paints like this, especially the very, very flake heavy ones. You can see, let me try and zoom in. Don't know if it's showing. You can sort of see the mechanical pad marks. Basically, it just doesn't like being polished. So a primer polish, a finishing polish will probably, especially under this lighting, perhaps other people wouldn't be able to see it, but you will absolutely see sort of very fine micro marring, even with the finest of polishes. Primer polish will get us around that, and it'll really, really, really bring out that flake. So I think it's a win all told. We'll crack on with the Eurofiber pads on the 15mm machine, and we'll go bust these swirls. Okay, start of day 3, quick update. Most of the car is compounded and I've just started refining the front just so I can take the opportunity really to show you the different stages and the benefits of refining. So, compounded and refined. Compounded. So yeah, when you compound it initially, of course it looked good because of how bad it looked in it, before that, but if you catch that line in the middle, that's the difference between refined and not refined. It's not always about removing squirrely marks and stuff. It's about increasing flake, increasing gloss, increasing clarity, and of course a huge difference in colour. So compounded, refined, compounded, and whatever we call that. I don't a do-over maybe. Starting point, midway point, what we're going towards. End of the day, whole car should be compounded and refined, and then we're good for coatings. Morning guys, right, quick update. Refining well underway now. We've done all down this side, which I think is coming out lovely. Hopefully it shows on the camera, nice and glossy and clear. We've done the roof, obviously all down the rails and the quarter, and then we've done this half of the bonnet, and now we're moving over to this half of the bonnet, where are we, and down that side of the vehicle. Now, hopefully the camera will put in perspective sort of what we're moving from. So remember, this is the heavy stage, and because we've sort of been digging into corners, those holograms, they were very deep, they were very scratchy, so I've kind of had to dig a little bit with the microfiber pads, but you can see how patchy it's gone. You know, still hologram free, still crystal in that respect, but hopefully sort of the stripiness and the marring shows up. So that is heavy compound, heavy pads. And then if we move over to this side, that's refined. What's left is left, what we didn't pull out with the first stage, like that there, goes nowhere. But all of that patchiness that we had before, on this side, is gone now. Before, after. And for a change, next to never use this product, but I'm refining with a 12mm machine. I maintain, if you're using a random orbital, that's the cleanest finish you're going to get. Just using like a generic black waffle pad. And the Rupes Ultra Fine, which is not at all a go-to for me. But like, I don't know what to say. It's I give it a try. I wanted to avoid a primer if possible, and I think that's finishing out mega. So let's crack on.
you.